Friday morning, can't control it. Fired up and counting every minute. Hands are shaking, eyes are burning. The time has come, yeah, this is not a warning. The week was just so long, we had to let it go. Our problems disappeared, we're not tied up anymore. The weekend is here. Sunday calls, we are sick and tired of it. Up and down, can you feel it? Up and down.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Johansson show. Today I'm joined by Graham McKay, also known as the manager of champions, Charles Boddington. Thanks for coming on, man.
That's not a problem, my friend, not a problem.
Excited, like when Cammy messaged saying you wanted to come on after my interview with him for Pro 2. Definitely like longest running Scottish promotion. 18 years is it now?
It is 18 years. It makes me sound like I'm an old man. But it's, even at that, I think even my first performance as a manager without a name, was 19 years ago in England, which I think for any wrestling manager on the circuit is unheard of. A lot of the managers you hear that are from the past now have kind of stopped doing it or retired, but 19 years on, and I'm still here, still here.
You must be doing something right then.
Do you know what it is? It's just I don't know what it is. I think a lot of people ask me what the secret of the success is and how I do this, because I mean we went through a stage. I think it was recently as well. It was only like before lockdown. We were the only family company that sold out like every single show in like 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
So every single show sold out. And it's I mean, when people ask me how we done it, I was simply booking matches and booking shows as a fan.
Yeah.
I was picturing myself sitting in a seat and what would wow me, what I would think, that's amazing, that's really, really good. And I started kind of playing about with things a wee bit as well. Like obviously every single promotion will put up who's fighting who's doing this, who's doing that, and for a few shows I just stopped doing it. I was just putting up maybe one match, and then people were messaging me about that. Like, how come you're not putting up match? And I'm like, well, there's no surprise there. There's no surprise element there. You know, if you're sitting as a fan and just say Jack Jester comes out, then you know straight away. I've seen that graphic. He's fighting so and so.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who he's fighting, then that whole aspect of that match is a surprise. On the other side, it isn't the best for selling tickets, because ticket sales, a lot of people buy tickets on who's fighting who or who's appearing.
Yeah.
But I still think people will buy tickets on who's appearing, who's going to be there, if you list names. But it worked. It did work. Maybe not as well as announcing the actual matches themselves, but it did definitely work. It made it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I imagine it'd make it harder from a business sense trying to sell the tickets. Like you said, some people want to know the full card before they get to the show, but selling out for those years consecutively, obviously you've got that loyal fan base. And as a fan, if you aren't going to the show, and you may know one or two people that are on it, but then all the matches are a surprise, there is that element because you've got the shock factor constantly, and before you know it, somebody's getting to see live a match announcement that they've never even thought of that they wanted to see, but they're seeing it, so I can see why.
In hindsight, it would work if fans weren't so kind of smart and wanting to know so much what was happening. So I don't mind. I'll give it. You know, I've always been about the fans. It's I've never done this. I never get in this business to be about myself or be about money or be about anything like that. It's about the fans and what they want. So what they want, they'll get. So simple as that.
No, definitely. And again, with managers, going back to that, I think it's a dying breed. Like, companies don't like to invest in managers anymore, or it's been refreshing, like seeing AEW, a TV company, use legends and use them as managers and things like that, because it kind of brings it back of old. But on the independents, as a manager, people are like, well, I'd just rather bring the tag team.
Well,
Not realizing.
This is a thing that goes back like 18 years since I started. It's and I found I actually find it really hard because when I used to contact people to get booked to try and break out, and promoters' unfortunate reaction was, well, why would I pay the money for you when I can pay for a wrestler, an active wrestler? Which there's not much argument in that. I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I've had a good, really good career, and my name's known. But that's been tough. That's been a lot of tough. And it isn't because you're like an amazing manager. A lot of that stuff comes down to who you know and who'll give you that break and who'll have that maybe extra money that they'll kind of invest in it. I mean, there's a lot of people that have said in the past that they'd be happy to pay it and they'd be like it adds to their product. Do you know what I mean? But I can as a promoter myself, I can see why it's hard. If somebody, I've never used a manager on my show, so it's kind of double-edged sword there. I won't be any manager, so it's quite bad that way. But it's a shame. It's just money. That's all it comes down to, money.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it is a business, but I think it depends on like the product and like the stories you're trying to tell. Sometimes if it's a very storyline heavily promotion, the managers will add that little bit of value. But if it's just maybe the dream matches or, for example, you mentioned before I was recording, or the imports you bring in, sometimes there may not be that story element to it, so the manager may not be that. What advice would you give people that are aspiring to be managers?
It's a tough one. Just don't give up. Don't. You need to learn the trade as much as anybody else. I mean, when I was first when I first trained, I had to learn how to bump, how to tell the story, how to just like realize different key moments in matches when a manager's more important than what people maybe realize. Like there's times, for instance, where maybe one of the wrestlers, even two, it's happened on occasion. One of the wrestlers or two of the wrestlers have forgotten the next spot or forgotten what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's a point where the face wrestler can fling the heel wrestler out to their side, and while I'm checking them, they can be saying to me, "What can you remember? What's in the cube? What was coming next?"
Yeah.
And because I've been there when the match has been planned and stuff, I know, and they can then they pick it up.
Yeah.
It also helps when a manager can realise when the wrestler's injured, when something's going wrong, when and they're also there when somebody's getting not that much confidence. Confidence is the main key as well. When they're maybe trying to sell out to a crowd and the crowd are absolutely stone dead, and that's my job to try and get them to get loud and to be just for me to be annoying on their part. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which a manager's really for us is to get the kind of quieter guys over, and quieter guys kind of. I mean, I can remember years ago that I never had any. I was managing up here and I was fine. I was getting heat. I was generating the heat up here, and we got a first booking down in England, and it was for a company called IPW UK.
Yeah.
I had never encountered smart fans, and so I was trying to give them the same stick as what I was doing up here. But everything I had said, they had an answer for before I'd even said it. So they were hitting me back. And you know, I get that frightened and that scared what to do that I just stood at one corner of the ring, holding onto the ring, and I never said a word the whole match. Now it must have looked like crap, to be honest, but I just never. That was a selling point, and I realised that at that point we had the opportunity to go and do kind of holiday camps, you know, like other kind of, and I thought, right, when I managed to get on that circuit. And the good thing about holiday camps is that because of the lights and stuff like that, you can't really see anybody. You can't really see the holiday makers.
Yeah.
And the holiday makers aren't there. They're not wrestling fans. They're not smart. That's part
They're
of
not
the entertainment.
critiquing, yeah.
It's part of the entertainment. They're kids that want to shout and scream and stuff. So it gave me an absolute fantastic platform to learn and to be able to have the confidence to like scream at people. Even I couldn't see them, but in their eyes, I'd be screaming right at them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see them anyway. And I was able to take that back to the kind of Scottish platform, and that gave me totally changed my career, because I was able to kind of walk past people in the crowd and look at them eye to eye and give them a bit of stick. Do you know what I mean? And I've never been able to do it before, so that's a big thing. But if I know I'm kind of jumping about with answers, but if any inspiring manager, aspiring trainee, try and get on the camps.
Yeah.
They need to try and get on the camps. It's an absolute game changer. An absolute game changer.
100%.
Nothing else about it.
Who is it that you was doing the camps with? What company? Was it All Star?
It was owned by Brian Dixon. Yeah, he had his Scottish run and his we done Haggerson Castle, Berwick, stuff like that. So it was tough. It's a tough old slog, wasn't it? It certainly wasn't. But I thought it was just going to be coming up the ring set up, like stuff like that, and like it was unbelievable. We were in the back of a van, and like we were there's ring stuff, and then you get into a venue, maybe the venue's like up 2 sets of stairs, so you get the ring posts, and you're having to carry them all up these stairs, and then for a 2-hour show, and then come back, and it was unbelievably hard. The camps it's if you can get through the camps, then it'll make you. As a wrestler, it'll make you, because if you've done the camps, it gives you that wee bit of kind of credibility with what you. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely a selling point. Like if MD ever gets the opportunity to get like on any sort of holiday camps in the future, then that should be the first thing they should do before thinking about going and try to get a live show up here.
100%. Like, because you see it, especially with some like younger trainees, they'll want to try and pursue for that maybe an internet company with the smart fans, and they might wrestle maybe once a weekend. But for that full month, they're only working 4-5 times. Whereas on the camps, you're doing that in a week more than that in a week.
I think trainees have got the wrong perception of where they want to go, and how fast they want to go there. Wrestling is not fast. It's not a fast track thing. If MD's going out and doing shows within 6 months to a year of training, then that's wrong. It's unless they're absolutely mind blown and there's something else about them. But people have got in their head that they can do like a couple of shows, a couple of week trainee shows, and they're wrestlers. Yeah. Like, don't call yourself a wrestler when you've only done a couple of trainee shows. Like if you've only wrestled 10 matches and like trainee matches are small, kind of. You're not a wrestler yet, and until people kind of recognise you, until people know your name, and you're out there and you've done you've worked in England or you've worked different, you kind of branched out, then just slow down a wee bit, learn the trade, learn the psychology, there's so much behind wrestling, there's so much to wrestling that people just don't want to learn. They want to jump off the top rope and think, fantastic, that's me, I'm sorted. Do you know what I mean? There's so much psychology. I mean, people, it's annoying sometimes. I get myself worked up about it, and it's nothing to do with me. But it's just annoying that people, like the psychology that I had to learn at the very start was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like when to do this, when to do that, when recognising when the crowd were quiet, recognising when the crowd were loud, recognising. And I'd done a lot of things wrong. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to do spots when the fans were kind of shouting and stuff like that, which it goes unnoticed really because they're already high. Do you know what I mean? Your job as a manager is to try and get them up to that level of highness. Do you know what I mean? To that when they're quiet and basically annoy them. But which I think I've managed to annoy fans for. Do you know what? It's funny because I have the same character and the same gimmick, and I've not changed anything about the gimmick at all. And I probably do the same spots, and people like, you know, I do roughly the same kind of bumps, if you like, at all different shows, and the same fans have seen the same bumps, but they still want to see the bumps. It's so strange because they're like, yeah. As soon as it's just it's a good fan following. I've got I enjoy it. I enjoy the bad guy, but it's hard to kind of just try and keep in that character and not kind of break it. But for going back to your question, it's just training. It's just like training. Watch managers, watch people like Bobby Heenan, watch people like Jimmy Hart, watch these kind of guys on all WWF tapes, and you learn, but the psychology behind wrestling and what they're doing, because what they're doing, what they done was unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. So if a manager was wanting to try and break into British Championship Wrestling, then what would they need to do to impress you to get that opportunity?
Just be something. They need to be special, something special. And if I was doing some sort of storyline, I would need to kind of add into that. I would never do it myself. I've always vowed that I would never go back to doing my own shows because it's too stressful as it is. But you know, I mean, never say never. If it added to a story, if it added to something to the show, then I would do it. I would do it definitely.
Bro. So speaking of like your managerial career, then I know like manager of champions, you don't get that moniker from nothing. Drew McIntyre, like, how did that relationship come about, and like what are some of your like favorite memories managing Drew?
There's loads of them, man. Drew's just Drew is just the nicest man you will ever meet in your life, and I genuinely mean that. I'm not just saying that because he is who he is, or even if he had never made it, I would still tell people that he is the nicest man you'll ever meet. We got on really well at the start, and I think at the time the promoter just thought that Drew needed something. He was a good-looking guy, and he kind of had it all. He was charismatic and stuff like that, and he was good in the ring, but he just needed that extra little thing.
Yeah.
So the whole plan was for the first show was that he was going to have like a hairstylist. He was going to have a couple of girls like kind of fanning him with fans, and he had a whole kind of thing going on. But it was a first show, do you know what I mean? So it was early. It was quite early on in the career. So it was we were kind of quite good into it all. So I was going to be, I wanted to be a manager. So the first thing that I kind of had was I was going to be his lawyer.
Yeah.
So I was going to kind of be there for his essentially. I mean, I'm laughing at myself even talking about it, but it's I was there for his hair insurance. I was make sure his hair stayed in place and stuff, and it was sounds mad, but that's how when we first done the show, the other people never turned up, and it ended up just me and Drew. So that was the only reason me and Drew got together, was because nobody else was there to do all that kind of that stick, and we went with it. And from there, it was again, it was we went from success to success to success, and it was I think we were together about 5 years, and I think doing research and stuff like that, I think even to this day we're the longest serving manager wrestler duo that were never seen apart.
Yeah.
Like Drew was never seen anywhere else apart from me, and I was never seen with anybody else apart from Drew. I don't think that's ever been done, to be honest.
Was that like with all the different companies, or?
Yeah, that was down in England. That was Ireland. That was Scotland. It was always Drew and Charles. It was never seen. Nobody ever tried to book it, and even if they did, we wouldn't do it because we wanted to stick together and try and do this. But unfortunately, came a time where there was we were doing shows, and Drew was getting that good. He was getting that. His physique was getting bigger. He was looking that much better. His wrestling was like 10 times better, and so people started to boo me as a manager.
Yeah.
But then they were cheering what he was doing in the ring, which makes it, as you can imagine, makes it a hard job as a manager to get the wrestler over his heel. And there came a time where, like, I was quite gutted, but it was Drew that said to me, like, I think we're going to need to call this a day. And I'm telling you, I can't even explain. I was in tears. I was gutted. It's a long time. Do you know what I mean? You travel the road with this guy, and we travelled everywhere together, and promoters knew how close we were, that they would just get us the one bed.
Yeah.
Because we were just top and tail. We were just mates. And it was just a sad time, but it was just it was good because and looking back now, he had it shows you what a smart head he had on, because he knew that he had to be versatile. I was being selfish. I was being selfish because I knew we'd a good this big thing going, but he was smart. He knew that he had to be a face, he had to be a heel, he had to learn to be a tag team, he had to learn this different aspects of the role to get where he wanted to be. And as you can see, it's worked. It's worked pretty well, and it's good because I still speak to Drew. I speak to Drew at least once a week, and you would it just doesn't add on who you see on TV because he's just that quiet, genuine guy that I knew back then. He's not that big maniac that's on TV. I'm sure. Do you know? There's times that I'll just message him and I'll just say, Drew, look, I'm so proud of you, man. I've just watched you on TV and it's amazing. It was strange as well because I got married 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Also just before lockdown, me and my wife got married, and also the whole plan was to go for lunch with Drew. He was looking over, go for lunch, meet the wife, and that meeting ended up being a call this.
Yeah.
That's how Drew met my wife. Do you know what I mean? Through video call. It's a shame. It's a shame that it happened like that. But it's the good thing is that she knows nothing about wrestling, so she doesn't know. She doesn't fanboy here and like that. So apart from the fact that she's like, oh, he's pretty hot, isn't he? Like, right enough. Like, that's my wife. You know what I mean? Enough. But he's just a good lad. He's just a genuine lad. It's strange as well because I always get slagged by the workers because it's always like because when me and Drew kind of left ways. It wasn't just left ways as in just stop working together.
Yeah,
there had to be a storyline, and we done a match with a guy, and Mick Foley was a special guest referee, and I think Mick Foley had been knocked down, and the way we done it was that because there was no sign beforehand, so all the fans were still into the whole Charles and Drew thing. They were still like still loving it. It wasn't as if it had died out at this stage. People still loved what they were seeing. So Mick Foley was down, and I picked up the briefcase, and I drew it one side, and I had the other guy at the other side, and I had it in the middle of my hand, and I turned around and smacked Drew it, and the footage is still there, and the whole crowd just went silent. I mean, it was silent. There was not a noise, not a cheer, not a boo, nothing. And there was people. There's people that you can see in the crowd at the back with the camera angle, like just holding their mouths, and they were just like, "What's going on?" And that was the end of Drew and Charles. And it's strange as well because when we I started bringing people to go against them.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, it was a guy called Sheamus or Johansson.
Yeah.
The name might ring a bell with the first part of it. But when me and Drew done this stuff over in Ireland there was a company called Irish Wrestling, and they had a TV channel over there called Whiplash TV. So me and Drew used to go over there like every kind of second week or so and do shows over there for our TV. And Sheamus was our kind of biggest rival over. And that's where we stayed as well. We used to stay in Sheamus's house, and they became kind of best friends. And so I brought in Sheamus to go against Drew and stuff like that. And so I think I did that twice or 2 or 3 times. So I get slagged off the guys all the time because it's always like, Drew and Sheamus. There's always name dropping Drew and Sheamus. I'm not. Nah, it's true. But they've both done so well. Do you know what I mean? And they had it's strange to see what's been happening in WWE because obviously I've still got footage for maybe 15 years ago when Drew versus Sheamus and Irish Wrestling. Do you know what I mean? And I can remember I spoke to Sheamus last night, and I said to him, I've just found that DVD with you and Drew. It's 25 minutes long. And his reply was, "That's 24 minutes too long." So it was funny. It was really funny. But So that's it's so strange to have managed two champions and now WWE, and it's a good thing for me to have, and it's a good thing for me to remember, and kind of having my kind of side. You know what I mean? So it's just history. It's just all about like making memories. I've got such good memories with these people. Do you know what I mean? They've kind of obviously they've moved on to bigger things, and but yeah, I mean you can't take away memories. You know what I mean? That's something that I'll keep with me for the rest of my life. So it's been good.
When you saw Drew beat Brock then at Mania to become champion, like what did that mean to you?
That's everything. It's I just think he deserves it. I can remember when Drew was also not Drew McIntyre, and he was with me, and I stayed at his house once, and we were going through. As you go into Drew's room, to the right hand side, there was a kind of DVD shelf kind of thing, and it was all like WrestleManias and SummerSlams, and it was all VHS at that point. And Drew still remembers this, but I said to him, I said, Drew, you'll be there one day. He just laughed, and he was like, no chance. And I said, Drew, I'm telling you. I says, you will be there one day. I promise you, you will be. And I know how hard it works. I know, like, other wrestlers, like, in the business, and I mean, like key names in the business will say that he is one of the hardest working men in the wrestling business, and he is. He is. I mean, when he was on a break from WWE, he would travel from like Tampa, Florida, to Scotland, do a show in Scotland, travel back to somewhere else in America, do a show there, travel to another country, do a show there, travel back to Scotland, do a show here, like just constantly without a break. And he was just hungry. He's hungry all the time. He was never one for just accepting the fact that it's done. A lot of people, if they get sacked by WWE, if they let go, or if they hit that stumble,
Yeah.
it's enough to put them off, and it can make you just go, nah, that's it, I'm done. But he was just never like that. He was never like, even me like go WWE. He was like, I said to him, you okay? What are you going to do? And he went, I'm not finished yet. I said, he said, I'll be back. He says, I don't care what to say, I'll be back. And he went out to prove everyone. I think he went out to prove them wrong. He had made a mistake. By going from country to country and promotion to promotion to winning all the top titles, and he did prove them wrong. And he's just hungry. Drew's hungry. You see, once he's got something in his grasp, there's no stopping him. Honestly, there's absolutely no stopping him. He'll get it. And but again, with that, he's never like arrogant with it. He's genuinely, if you ever met him, if you ever sat down with him, he'll do anything for you. Like he's just the nicest man, and I don't think anything will change it. He's always like quick to reply if I message him. He's always up for a chat, and he's unless he's trying to hit a gym or trying to do something for WWE, but I don't think it'll change him. It's the same with Sheamus as well. Even last night, he chatted with Sheamus, and like he is who he is. You know what I mean? It's like he's still chatting like he's just no friend. You know what I mean? And but you just kind of need to remember in the back of your head that these guys are pretty famous, and they can't just chat to you about what's on TV.
No, definitely.
How the weather is.
With Drew's like hiatus then from WWE, and I know one of the matches you'd booked for BCW with Lionheart, somebody else that's two-time champion. Like, what was that like? Because again, Drew was he's arguably the biggest name to come out of Scotland, whereas at that point Lionheart started building the foundations in all different companies across Scotland and England. Is that the reason why you thought, right, we need to book them two together?
I think Lionheart. I'm sitting wearing his t-shirt as I'm sitting on the t-shirt. Lionheart was he had the same mentality as Drew, and the same drive. Why it never took off, I don't know. But he had the same passion. Nobody could take that away, and it's just so talented, and he was so professional.
Yeah.
As a worker. Everything had to be crisp. Everything had to be perfect. Him and Drew was a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. They were best mates. They were good mates. They'd known each other for a long, long time. Because it's so strange, because I've got a match in the house, and it was Drew versus D'Lo Brown, and Lionheart was a different row ticket. He wasn't even in the business then. It was and that's what people need to remember as well. Like, like, I'll go back to the question you asked, right? But be a fan at first. Do you know what I mean? Sit there, go to shows. There's a lot of our workers these days that all used to attend BCW shows, and are now some of the biggest workers. Drew and Lionheart is just a no-brainer. It's two men with the same passion, with the athleticism that they've both got, with their minds for storytelling. Was just an absolute selling point. Absolute selling point. And it did sell. It sold out. And I knew the intensity would be there. I knew that they knew what they could do with each other, like how hard they could hit each other and get away with it. Cause the respect was there, and the match was mind blowing. It really was. I still watch it to this day. I can remember playing we got a video made. There was a kind of build up of Lionheart and Drew.
Yeah.
And I showed Lionheart. I showed him backstage at a different show, somebody else's show, and he was crying. He had tears in his eyes, and he got a bit upset. And it was just what it meant to him.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Adrian like that. I've never seen him. It was only it was a powerful music video. But it just showed you how much the match meant to him, and how much it got to him, because the tears were streaming in his eyes. He actually walked away from me in a corner, and he just asked me to give him a minute, and then he just gave me a hug and said thank you. So, and then the match, I had no doubt. Do you know, I could have walked away. I could have left that building, and I would have known that match would have been a 5-star match. The guys are just. I wouldn't have left the building, because I wouldn't have missed it for the world. But I do still watch it back to this day. It's a fantastic match, it really is. And they fought each other before, but I mean, this Lionheart Drew thing's been back before. This is like they fought in their younger days in the BCW show. So to see them, I remember that match. So to see them go for that to the last match was night and day. And they both deserved it, and they both loved it, so it's good.
100%. And before we get into like all the things BCW, then your managerial career not quite over. Obviously, you've been announced to be involved with Pro 2. What's your thoughts and intentions going into Pro 2?
So Cammy's such a good friend. Cammy's been there through thick and thin. When we first started British Championship Wrestling and stuff like that, my mum, when she was still alive, she was behind a lot of BCW. My mum controlled BCW. She was the one that got the venues. She was the one that like pushed me forward to do things.
Yeah.
And Cammy was our best friend. They were absolutely. They were together side by side at every single show, and that was just like a boy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did a lot for the company. Like him and TJ Rage as Raging Storm, and they did a good run.
Yeah.
By the time stuff like that, and Cammy's just a passionate guy that there's no crap with him. There's no lies. It's straight talking.
Yeah.
He tells you the way it is. He recognises hard work. And I was retired. Like I said to him, he did message me. He asked me about it, and I had made this decision not to do any shows. I'm 42 now. I thought, right, by the time me jumping about and falling off rings and stuff like that is maybe done. But he's done so much for me behind the scenes that people don't even know, people don't even recognise. And that's between me and him. But he's done a lot for me and the company. He's been a supporter of the company since day one. Since day dot, he's been right behind BCW and right behind the success, and he still to this day is it holds such a big piece in his heart, the company. So when he kind of asked me, would I do it, and I says I'm retired. I said I'm done, and he just laughed and he was like, "You're never done. Yeah, there's Charles Boddington that isn't done." And I said it is, and he just said to me, "You would do me a massive favour if you would do my shows." And I think that was just in my head. I was like, "What? Aye, okay. If I can pay him back, if I can do something for him,
Yeah.
to help him, I'll do it." And this is my way of helping him, and it's the only company that I'll be seeing. I won't be doing any other shows. So,
Yeah.
um, not unless somebody entices me out again. But that's the worst thing about wrestling is, right, and retirement is a big thing, right? Because people don't like to say retirement because wrestlers never retire. Same as managers never retire. Like somebody phoning me that. The fire's always there. So I probably would go back eventually. I think I just need a bit of a break, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Is there anybody in particular that you're thinking you wanted to manage, or are you keeping that close to your chest?
I'll keep that close to my chest, and that's for me, for people to find out.
Have they been announced to be Pro 2 yet?
Have they been announced?
Yeah.
You're just being a typical interviewer and try to find a way.
I've
Try to find a
got
way.
to
Yeah,
try and get some.
yeah, a typical media person, man. My answer to that, my answer to that is it could be. Who knows?
Typical media avoider answer there. But going to BCW then, like again, when we were just speaking about Drew and Lionheart match, like your face had light up and stuff like that. I know it's a lot, 18 years as well, but what are some of those standout moments where it may not be including any of the imports, but where your favourite matches are the ones that you like to watch back and some of your proudest booking, I guess?
I think the biggest feat was getting Matt Hardy over here.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get Matt Hardy for about 5 years. No luck, no reply. And I was quite lucky that I kind of joined up with Kenny McIntosh for Inside the Ropes.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we were like, well, if we can give him a bigger deal and more a reason to travel, then he might do it. And we even brought his wife over.
Yeah.
Which was a key point for any kind of worker. But I managed to get him over, and I can remember that was the only time out of all the kind of people that I brought over and stuff like that. And when he arrived at the hotel and I opened the door and I seen him, I was just like, it's the first time I thought, like, holy shit. And I never said that out loud, but I can remember taking these cases and walking in front of him thinking, oh my God, like, mental, man. And to be able to do him, and who would have ever thought they would have seen Drew Galloway and Matt Hardy and Kilmarnock in Scotland? That's like unreal, man.
I know. Was that when he was doing the broken stuff?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So you've got Matt Hardy, where he's at his most popular. His popularity is through the roof, and you've got Galloway making.
I think that's what people could have. I think that's what people were kind of mind blown at how we got Matt Hardy at that key time.
Yeah.
Because he was the hottest thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's got to do with Drew as well. Do you know what I mean? Because Drew and Matt had spoke for years, and I think Drew and Matt had both said to each other, I'd love to wrestle you in Scotland.
Yeah.
And then the gang they both shrugged it off as that will happen one day in the future, whatever. So it was a no-brainer to put that one together. And even now, watching it, it's unbelievable. I could probably retire for wrestling, and that will be a key moment that I'm happy to have achieved. But there's loads of matches. There's loads of matches that some of the talent, like Stevie Xavier versus Jody Fleisch. is unreal, and I'll do it again. That match will happen again. The problem was that Stevie Xavier was injured, and it was Stevie's been a big fan of Jody for a long time. Johnny Storm, and Stevie had sustained an injury in his shoulder, and I asked him that day if he wanted to pull out the match, stuff like that, and he just refused to pull out the match. He needed to. So I've always vowed to Stevie when he's 100% better or in the future that I'll do that match again, and I'll let him have that singles match, and I stick to my word. That will happen. That will definitely happen.
Yeah.
And
it's ridiculous how good Jody still is. Like he took a long time off, and I remember I was at the Brit Rest Fest. I was part of the crew helping set it up, where it was Jody's first match back, and he was facing Johnny Storm. And I always remember seeing him in the ring just trying to get that springboard, and it was like looked a bit rusty. And I was like, oh, could this go wrong? As soon as the match was there, everything was just crisp, and I was just like, I was blown away. First time I ever got to see him wrestle live, and it was after they'd not wrestled for years against each other, and could still put it on. Like, incredible. And the dude's jacked. Like, he's massive.
It's I think along with that, I can't take away from my champion, BT Gunn. He's been my champion for, I don't even know how long it's been now. It's been almost like 4 or 5 years, if not more. It's long. I think lockdowns helped that. But BT Gunn has got such a drive on him, and you can put anybody. That's why he's been my champion for so long. You can put anybody against him.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what shape, size, like sort of wrestling. Then he'll take them, and like he's such a good champion. He's such a honest, hard-working champion. But some of the matches I've put him against, and it doesn't matter how. I've seen BT Gunn with like loaded with the flu or like really not well, and like on the verge of kind of having to pull out to going and doing a 5-star match. Just when he gets that buzz for the fans and stuff like that. It's so he's definitely. I'm surprised just these people haven't went further. Like he's talking about Jody. I mean, Jody should be in AEW. Or, I don't know what's going on. That frustrates me. That really frustrates me because he'd been mind blown. He's fitting there like a glove. He would.
Yeah, well,
and why BT Gunn and stuff like that haven't been picked up and stuff yet is beyond me. But there's always the reasons. There's people have got a time and a place, and when they say a time, it will not go past them.
Yeah, exactly. It's better to, I guess, kind of go in and make the statement rather than be a group of 10 people signed. Be that one that's signed, and it's that something new. And I've just got it here while she was trying to find out how long it's been. We're recording, like, for clarity, it's the 15th of March, but as the 15th of April will be 5 years for BT Gunn's title run.
Wow. That's the longest title run in BCW history.
1,795 days.
My God. Unbelievable. And that's it's funny as well because people would change their other promotions would change their title like every couple of months and stuff like that, and this just proves to you don't have to. You don't have to. I mean, it's not done anything to my numbers. It's not. People haven't got bored. I've never had one person say to me, "This is getting boring." BT Gunn being the champion, everybody loves BT Gunn, and it's that just shows 5 years is a long time to hold a belt in shows, and for the fans still to love you, and to fans not be shouting for you to lose the belt.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. Yeah, 1,795 days is how long it's been having it. 59 months in total. Like it is incredible. And I want to ask you this thing because you said it's been that long, and where people are getting jaded and they're not getting bored of it. With the way you run the shows, with like the family-friendly style of shows, I spoke to somebody I know called Dara Diablo, based here in Hull, and I spoke to him similar to him, where they're not putting on shows every week and maybe a couple of months, it gives your audience a chance to grow up with these people.
Yeah.
So then when, for example, that deafening silence when you turned on Drew, where over these months, these people have matured, and you've had some people where they've probably gone from being teenagers to being young adults, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
kind of grow up with that. Would you agree? Have you seen that in your shows?
Oh, definitely. I do agree with it. I mean, we see them from the start. Obviously, when they're young boys and young. I mean, there's a guy called Daz Black.
Yeah.
Who's mind blowing. Is genuinely mind blowing, and I've seen him go from like a young trainee to a young boy into like a teenager into kind of adulthood. He's getting older, and you see these guys kind of just get bigger and better and grow into their own kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is good to see. It's good to kind of. The only advice I always give people is to just try and stay humble. As you grow bigger, as you get that more well known and that kind of don't get cocky with it. So I have spoiled a shrug there. Yeah, just don't get cocky with it. Just if you stay humble, because that's what places like WWE and stuff like that look at. They look at how you. It's not about how you wrestle and stuff like you have the full package. You've got to be humble and decent with it as well. You know what I mean? And it's funny as well because people ask me about matches and that, and did you watch my match or what do you look for in a match? And I think people are quite surprised that one of the biggest things that I look for is the entrance.
Yeah.
And it's to me that's so important. And
oh yeah, it's you can only make one first impression, and if your entrance is like a wet fart, they don't care what you're going to do in the ring because you've made yourself look like a jerk in your entrance.
You've totally ruined yourself before you've been locked up.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. It's so important, and I always watch everybody's entrance, and when I get DVDs back, I'll watch people's entrance, how the crowd react to them, how much energy they're putting in, and it just like I think one of the hottest entrances I've hit. Obviously, Grado's a success story, right? Grado is what he is. I can remember doing a storyline where it was kind of the aggression. It was a team called the Aggression. They were trying to take over BCW.
Yeah.
And then I went to stage and command and I brought out kind of my team, and it was Dylan Angel, young boy called Dylan Angel, and then it was Joe Coffey, then it was Lionheart, and then I kind of looked at them in the ring and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. I said I've only got 3 here. I said I need one more, and Grado's music hit, and I've never heard a reaction like it in all my days wrestling. Of when that music hit, the roof was honestly blew off the place. It was absolutely crazy. And that just shows it's just an entrance. I mean, that's just him and his character and what he's kind of made himself different from everybody else. I mean,
do you think that might be part of his downfall as well? Because whenever I've seen him, like I get carried away with the entrance. It's Madonna. Everybody's up and dancing and stuff like that. And when he finally signed with Impact, it was great. And he tried doing that. He had the video put out asking Madonna if he could use it.
Yeah.
If he could have used it, where do you think Grado would have been now?
well, that's a question.
Because all I ever imagined was him being in WWE, getting that Mania match with Madonna singing on the stage as he's coming down the entrance. That would have been amazing.
You just never know, do you? It's one of these questions that you just never know. It's could he? Would he? It's one of these unanswered questions. I think where he went just now with the wrestling plus the acting side of it,
Yeah.
he's very, very happy. He's very, very happy. He's very comfortable. What you need to remember is that he's, if he was to get that WWE stuff, and that he'd be away from his family and away from everybody else. I think just now he gets to, he's famous, but he's famous, but he still gets to see his family and his partner, and I think he's happy with that. I genuinely think he's really, really happy and content with what he's achieved in wrestling and what he's achieved in life. I mean, the guy's a superstar. The guy's like, I can remember meeting him for the first time in Kilmarnock, and I was asked to put him in the show, and I was like, no chance. I said, and there's no chance that I'm using that guy. And he was just in a tag team called the Lowlanders, and I just wasn't interested. And to think, if somebody had told me then that he was going to be who he is now, I would have honestly, I'd have put my bank account on it, and I'd have says, no chance. He's probably the biggest success story in Scottish wrestling. Yeah. In fact, he is. This is the big success story. It just shows you that, like, you can be the best wrestler, you can be the best kind of technical wrestler, but it's just what relates to the fans as well. Do you know what I mean? The fans do appreciate everything, but they like. I think they like Grado simply because he wasn't this big muscle bound guy that trained in the gym. He liked to eat pies. He spoke about eating Greg's pasties, and so the fans could relate to that. So I think that's what makes him more a success as well. Do you know what I mean? The fans, the fact that it was like the fans were thinking, like, he's just one of us. Do you know what I mean? If he can do it, then we can do it. So you might have found people that might have not wanted to be a wrestling trainee, or might have not wanted to get in the business because maybe they're carrying too much weight or they're not in shape. That might have changed their mindset a bit to think, well, I can do it. I can do that, because it's not all about like being muscle bound and being this and that. It's not. It's about having a character. And like I always thought, as being a manager, it was fans would see like heel face, heel tag team versus face tag team. But then when I came out with a wrestler, then I'm right next to them. Like, I'm right next to the fans, so I'm on their level. Like, the wrestlers are obviously on the ring, but I'm at their level. So it gives them a chance to be part of the show. They're interacting with, like, if I'm shouting at them, if I'm giving them back chat and stuff like that, it makes them feel part of the show and connected. And I think that's what kind of Grado done as well. Like, he connected with them in the sense that he made people believe that they can achieve stuff that they might not have thought before. So
yeah, he's really humble as well. Like the times I've met him, and
how people ask me how Grado is, all the time. I get asked how he's like all the time, and I simply just say the way you see him on TV is the way he is as a person. Like, if you met him in the street, that's the way he is. He'll give you all the time in the world. He won't shrug past you like that. He'll stand and talk to you, have a laugh. He doesn't think he has anything. I don't even think it's sunk in that he is famous, if you want to put it like that. But he is, and it's maybe good the fact that he doesn't kind of realise it as much. But he is who he is. He's a funny lad.
I always remember first time I'd have met him properly was again working on the Brit Rest Fest show, and he was on there, and I was selling his merch for him, and he had all his hats and stuff like that. And I remember at the end where I was like, "How have I done?" And I was like, "You've cleaned house essentially." So I think it was like it gave me some money, and it was like, been a long day, make sure you get Macca's on the way home or something like that, and just had a laugh. And it's stuff like that. Like I was there to help out. I didn't need that. Like I was doing what I needed to do, and those hats and merch and stuff would have sold even if I wasn't stood there. So and it's those things that stand out, the way people handle themselves and carry themselves.
He does that, Joe. He has my daughter. She's 21, and she's like Grado's unofficial merch seller at my shows. And I'm telling you that, I mean, his merch is, as you just said there, his merch is absolutely mind blowing. I can remember a Kamala show. His merch sales alone were like about 4 times his wage, and he had totally cleaned house, and I couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't believe how much money was made in that one day, from merch, from hats, from everybody wanted a Grado hat, and they always sold out. And it was just, it's crazy. The guy's crazy, but he'll be back. I wasn't sure his stance on kind of wrestling shows going back, and I messaged him the other day and just to ask him his stance, and he promised me he'll be back, so that's good. It's good to be saying that he'll be back.
No, amazing. What do you think helped like the Scottish wrestling boom? Because all of a sudden you do have fans from everywhere. You've got wrestlers coming from everywhere. You mentioned it yourself. You tried getting Matt Hardy for years, and then he's finally come. And I think although we've had that Brit wrestling boom, Scotland had its own as well.
I think it all goes down to ICW, and I'd love to say it was us and anybody else, but it was ICW. It was that brainchild is Mark Dallas, and Mark Dallas is what I call a genius in wrestling. His head is wrestling, his mind is wrestling, and he thought outside the box, and he kind of realised that there was something missing.
Yeah,
everybody was roughly doing the same thing, and basically created this over 18 style, ECW style wrestling, and that got eyes watching everywhere. And it was amazing. It was absolutely mind blowing. He is just, I mean, Mark Dallas is just like a mini Vince McMahon. That's what it reminds me of. He's just a mini Vince McMahon. Nothing can knock him, and he will just keep driving forward and driving forward and driving forward. And I think that's got a lot to do with getting eyes on other promotions as well, and where, like, just say, like Joe Coffey, for instance, just say he did a match at ICW, then people would start noticing that he was on like a BCW show, or he was on a PBW show or another show, and then they would want to watch that, or they want to come to that, they want to see him there. They might like him at ICW. Now ICW was obviously, it's a big show, and there's a lot of people go to it. So sometimes you're a good bit away from the ring. Sometimes you're maybe 10 rows deep for what you can see and stuff like that. And so I suppose my shows on a smaller scale were a chance to get to see these guys right up close and personal kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it definitely helped. Without ICW, there would be no Scottish boom.
Yeah,
I totally believe that, because I've been doing this long enough to realise that the way it went or the way it was going, and we owe that to him and his product. So hats off to Mark Dallas.
Yeah, I think with the BBC documentary was the first time I got around that, and then the other two big moments, Drew returning and Grado. I think they're like three of the big key points of people making notice of like the Scottish wrestling scene. How do you think, especially yourself with BCW, how has it affected you with NXT UK coming around? Like, as a business standpoint of who you can work with, have you felt any impact?
It's hard. It's the first. I think when they first came out and done it, they had made it out to be that that they were going to work with us and they were going to help us, and it's not really been the case. They've just taken.
They've got the favourites, haven't they? They've got Progress and ICW. You see that on the network.
Aye, they've got that. Aye, and like it's a shame, because it's like people like Noam Dar. Noam Dar started with BCW, but because of WWE's association with ICW, he was allowed to go back and work with them on a one-off.
Yeah.
But I was told no. wasn't allowed, which is sad because that's where it started. That's where the company gave him his break, and that kind of hurt a bit. The problem is it's nothing to do with Noam either, because Noam was very keen to come back to BCW and do stuff, but unfortunately, it's just contractual obligations that they've got to do and they've got to adhere by. So it's nothing that personal or anything like that, and it just is what it is. It'd be great to have these guys back, but WWE can have them, and but it's still, I mean, different people are on different contracts, so you can get other people. It just depends, and also a lot of things have changed now, and a lot of safety aspects have got to be on board, and going forward with future shows. So WWE have a lot of boxes to tick.
Yeah.
Or they can let their guys perform on in the independent show.
Yeah. Was he a particular match that he was wanting to book for Noam?
Do you know, I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just thought it'd be good to have him back in that environment after also him been seen on TV and stuff like that. I think it'd be good to have that kind of, especially in Command, because it's from Ayr, so the same kind of impact as kind of Drew say, just that hometown guy coming back. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. You know, it is what it is. You know, the way it worked out is that his last match in BCW was against Lionheart. Which was they were best friends. There was no closer two people than Noam Dar and Lionheart.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a blessing for disguise that I never got him back, because that will always remain the last match that he had.
Yeah. No, definitely. So in terms of like looking for talent and stuff like that, how have you found rebuilding your roster then, when a lot of the guys are getting signed to NXT UK or these other companies where there'll be the contract obligations? Like yourself as a promoter, how do you find that?
It's hard. It's maybe not in a bad way. Maybe it's maybe again it's a blessing. It's these guys have built my company up and helped make BCW what it is today, but they do all have to go into bigger and better things, but there is so many so much talent out there. It's unbelievable. People that I've not seen yet, people that I've not, people are just coming through the ranks that are mind blowing. So it's like I've made past stars, so it's time for me to make future stars.
Yeah.
And this is where things like that will happen. It's just giving people new chances. And I need to shake up. I need to keep off like a few key kind of roster members. But as a business perspective, I need to think about what's good for business. Like, there's a lot of companies in Scotland. There's well over 20 companies. When I first started, there was 2 companies. There's well over 20 now. So I need to kind of think to myself, well, just say, for instance, if the same wrestler appears in every single show, then there's nothing to entice people to buy my tickets.
Yeah.
Because they've seen them. They can see them on, if my show's a Friday, they can see them on Saturday, they can see them on Sunday, they can see them the week after, they can see them. Yeah. So it is, and that's what happens in Scotland. Everybody uses the same talent. And I love my talent, I do, and I will use them as much as I can. But I've been, in the past, I've been quite strict with who I use and who I don't use, and the BCW door's quite a closed door to get in. Which, looking back, I probably regret now. I regret the fact that I didn't give more people chances, which I should have.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just protective of my brand and protective of the company, and that fear factor of change. I'm not a big fan of change. But looking forward, I have no choice. I'm going to kind of shake things up, and I'm going to bring in people that people haven't seen, so that it gives the fans that something different that they've not seen at every other show.
Definitely.
It needs to be done.
So speaking of like shaking it up, then you announced you've got Sheikh El Sham, Giselle Shaw, and Crixus Gladius coming in. What is it about those three in particular where you thought, actually, I'm going to bring them in? They've got something different. What is it that drives you to all three of them?
Sheik El Sham has just got everything. He has a whole package.
Yeah.
He will be signed when he will be signed one day. He'll get snapped up. He's got everything. His attitude is unbelievable. He's the most is it reminds me of Drew as well. He's so humble, so humble. And he's so helpful, so kind. And his work ethic and his work in the ring is just outstanding.
Nice. He's a great guy. Like if any of the BCW fans are listening and you wanted to learn more about him, I ended up interviewing Sheikh a few weeks back, and we speak about like what it really is like to be coming through a family with different cultures and trying to pursue wrestling. And yeah, such a humble guy, and his work ethic second to none.
He's got a passion for, like, when I first booked him for BCW, I've never heard somebody so thankful for the opportunity. And he's also watched the product for a lot of years, and I suppose it's on his list that the places that he'd love to work.
Yeah.
So he was very, very humble, very thankful that getting that opportunity. Giselle was just a wrestler. She looks immense, and she just looks like a wrestler. Like when you look at her, and again, her in-ring ability is amazing. Crixus, I know from OVW. He spent a bit of time in OVW.
Yeah.
But people don't realise he's from Scotland. He's Scottish, but just not been seen in any shows.
Yeah.
And he sent me through like a full CV, and he wanted a chance, and he wanted the opportunity, and he sent me through kind of his promo pictures and his matches he's had, and he's got it. You know what I mean? He has really got it, and he has that big kind of that frame. He's a big lad.
Yeah.
Which wrestlers the fans like to see that. The fans like to see, that they kind of people that they wouldn't normally bump into in the street or
star power.
It's just that whole package. You know what I mean? So that's just three. That's just to start that. We'll just see how we go there. Have them join them be kind of my guys could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Have you got any? You mentioned like looking to stars for the future as well. Who is you mentioned Daz Black earlier, but is there anybody else that's coming through the Scottish wrestling scene in BCW that you're excited about?
I've not seen a lot. I've not kind of put myself out there. I want to go and see more places, and I want to go and see more people. I want to make a point to watching more footage. I've just not had the chance with the full-time job and with everything that's going on. I've just not had a chance to pinpoint. There's a lot of stars out there. Leighton Buzzard is fantastic.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of talent. I mean, Scotland's full of talent. That's why Scotland's such a hotspot.
Yeah.
It is full of talent. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but I need to kind of go away and think. But I do need to get myself out there. I've always said that I need to get to training schools. I need to get to, because I just watch more live shows.
Yeah.
Sit down and watch. But when you're a married man and you've got like 4 kids between you, you've got a full-time job. It's hard to get that time to sit down and kind of watch all that footage. But I'm always watching online. I'm always looking online, and if something grabs my eye and something grabs my attention, I'll kind of pursue it, as I say.
Oh, brilliant. So what prompts you to bring in all these imports then? I know you did a list of maybe doing like a DVD, like a. I still like DVDs. I think there's still something that when people are at shows or if they're online, it's good to have that collector's hard copy and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about unbuffering when you're trying to stream it on the internet. But you listed so many people. Like, what prompted you to be wanting to bring in all these imports? Was it to stand out and be different, or what was it?
I don't know. It just started off like all those years ago, and I get what you're saying. I'd love to have made that DVD, but when when I listed all the names, I was like, it would end up being like a 4-disc DVD or something. It's so many people. I think we're just getting started and trying to make a mark and try to get noticed. Like, as the first person was the Barbarian that we brought in.
That's ridiculous.
To get noticed, and I kind of just railroaded for there. And then some of the names we brought in, some of the names that I now class as friends, and it's people that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And they'll message me, or they'll, how you doing, buddy, and blah blah blah. And it's still a bit surreal to this day, but there's some of the names that have been. I mean, people like Scott Hall and Million Dollar Man and Tatanka, and like I mean, the list goes on. And I can remember, I can remember booking Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I can remember getting a hard time for the guys, just like, why are you booking Hacksaw Jim Duggan, like, of all people? And it was funny because, you know, so what usually happens is that I'll book somebody, I'll get that artwork done, I'll get the posters made, and then I'll announce them. So the posters were ordered, so I made the order for the posters for the Hacksaw show, and then I announced that he was coming.
Yeah.
And before the posters arrived, the venue was sold out with 700 people.
Wow.
And that just shows the power of that. It's simply, and not just him, but the whole show was solid.
Yeah.
There was, do you know what I mean? And
who was he working?
it was him and Grado.
What a combination that is.
I'm trying to think who they were wrestling. Red Lightning and Saki Bali. And it was funny because Red Lightning's a master on the microphone.
Yeah.
You could give Red Lightning, or Rudo Lightning, that's what it's called now, Rudo Lightning. You could give him a microphone and ask him to do anything or put anything over, and he can do it. He can do it to perfection, and he did do that. He did do that. That was he got Sakib Ali to sing his national anthem, because the crowd were kind of shouting over the top of him. He ordered the music guy to give him a backing track.
Yeah.
And that backing track was Hacksaw Jim Duggan's music that's just hit. Pyrotechnics were going off, and it was fantastic. But Impulse do have that they have got drawn power. It's something that also the UK guys get. I think a lot of them get a bit miffed about using imports on shows and stuff like that. YG imports on shows, but they do sell tickets, and that's the proof's in the pudding with my company. It's not just about them, but it's just I think people come to these shows to meet these people because they never ever thought they'd ever get a chance to shake hands with such legends.
Yeah.
Ever in their lifetime, and now they can travel 10 minutes down the road and meet somebody they've grew up, they've spent their whole childhood watching. And that's the selling power. And that just it gets more eyes on the local guys as well, like our guys, because people come to the show and watch the whole show, and they'll notice, oh my god, see that Kenny Williams, or to see that Stevie Xavier, see that BT Gunn, like that match was amazing. But initially, these guys might have just came just to. They might not have been wrestling fans. They might not have been like as in independent wrestling fans.
Yeah. They
may have just came to see that one guy, or get to meet one guy, or who knows. But it does, in my eyes, it gets eyes on the whole product.
Yeah. Is there any legends that you're wanting to bring in, like any international talent?
I've none left. I sat down the other day and I thought to myself, who is there left? I was supposed to bring in Animal for Legion of Doom. Yeah. He was my guest for just before he passed away. That was all signed and done. But obviously, unfortunately, he passed, which is very, very sad. But I can't think. I need to be careful with who I bring over, who draw in fans, because a lot of the indie guys, even though they're amazing, like Impact guys or anything like that, like
Yeah.
Fans just don't know them, or don't know. They don't know. My fans are kids and families and mums and dads. They don't.
They're only watching WWE.
I. They don't know what Impact is, or any other kind of, obviously AEW now, but
Yeah.
they're not going to let him do work for anybody else. You know what I mean? So um, it's unfortunately that is just the case. Um, it's just that the fan base that I've got is suited to a certain genre, and these guys, these kind of indie guys, I don't know who's left.
Is there anybody you would want to bring back?
I'd like to bring Hacksaw back. Hacksaw, he was good. He won't come. I don't think he will come back because he is getting that bit older, and I don't think he's wrestling as much. Paul London was really good. Paul London's put in a lot of hard work. Every match that he does.
Yeah.
EC3, he was good. Rennie Dupree was quite good. He put a hell of an effort in his match.
Didn't you have him with BT? You had him facing BT Gunn at one point.
I think so. And then I think I'm a big fan of Bram.
Yeah, makes everything look real.
Bram's just Bram, and
yeah,
he is a bit mental, and he's brilliant. He's just, but again, he's a genuine guy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's very genuine, but makes out there he's a scary ass dude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So what should fans expect, especially one of your biggest shows that you do every year in December? I think it was the last BCW show, No Blood, No Sympathy. Like, what can people expect if they come to BCW, and especially to those couple of shows?
Just that big show feel. It's that's where I do go all out, and I do bring in names that, like, star-studded names. That's where I'll hold off for people like your Jody Fleisches, your Johnny Storms, your Doug Williams. I've just read online 2 minutes ago that Doug Williams is coming out of retirement.
Okay.
So Doug Williams will be back in BCW. So
who would you want him against?
Doug. It's interesting. Who would Doug go against? Probably BT or even Stevie. There's loads of people that you could put on. I guess something you would see. These are things that I sit down and think about for like hours and hours and hours, and I get a pen and a paper, and I'll put Doug versus Doug versus Doug versus Doug versus, and whatever one of the names beside that really sticks out and stands out and thinks, wow, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's I spend a lot of time. Like, you've no idea. I don't think even the fans have any idea how much time I spend matching up people.
Yeah.
It takes me months. Honestly, it's a long time. But it pays off because the matches, the feedback you get from shows is that every match was a cracker. Every match was like, and so that makes it kind of worthwhile that I've took that time to put in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. When do you think you'll be running shows again? Do you think you'll have a show this year, or?
No, I don't want to do it this year. I don't. People might kind of slate me for that or be a bit about that, but I just think that people, this pandemic has took a lot out of everybody. It really has, and financially, people are on their arses basically, and they're struggling. And wrestling's like a night out. It's a kind of bonus. It's a treat. And I'm just not 100% that people are going to be able to afford that treat right now.
Yeah.
I think people need to get back on their feet, and I think people, the wrestling industry, the wrestling live shows need to be safe. They really do need to be safe, and they need to be back to full potential. I can't do half shows because it's not financially advisable to do so.
Yeah.
I need my venues to be full. But I just want everybody to be safe. I'd rather wait. The thing is, what's going to happen as well is when these shows can go ahead, when you get the green light to go ahead, when, as I said to you before, there's all these companies in Scotland, and they're all going to be trying to run, and all going to be trying to race into get a show on.
Yeah.
I'd rather be the guy that sat back and just chilled a wee bit, because what will happen then is the fans will think, they'll see all these other shows, they'll say, well, where's BCW? And then eventually when I do come back, which will be the middle of next year, and as soon as that poster goes up, people go, there's BCW coming back. Do you know what I mean? Let's get tickets. And that's my mind behind it all. So I'd rather just wait. And it's a pain for me as well. I'd love to go back tomorrow. I'd love to. I'm aching to go back. I'm not used to this having no shows. It's been the longest I've had not a show in 17 years.
Yeah.
So that's hard for a promoter to take when that's part of his daily routine, daily life. So as soon as we can get back safely, which will be, I won't be going back till next year, 100%. I won't be going back till next year.
Yeah.
But again, it gives the people something to look forward to, and trust that what I'm doing is right, and there's reasons behind everything. You know what I mean? And I would rather people be safe than anything else.
What can fans expect of that first show back then? Is it going to be one of these big shows, or?
No, I've not worked that out yet. That's not something that I'm kind of. It has to be a big show. I think it has to be a big show.
Yeah.
It has to be something special, and it has to be that. It has to be that welcome back to BCW, and I'll do everything I can to make it that, and to make it that special. I won't be charging that much. I won't be charging the same for tickets for the first couple of shows back. I'm there to help people out. I'm there to kind of, as long as I can cover my costs, and obviously as a business make a bit of money. But it's not about making like all this money at the first couple of shows back. It's to get fans back and make it affordable.
Just to enjoy it as well.
Just enjoy it as well. That's what it's all about. It's also there's big things happening in BCW, which you've probably heard about.
Yeah, I was going to touch upon that, the UWN relationship with Canada and Dubai. Tell us a bit about that.
It's massive. It's massive for not just Scottish wrestling, but for UK wrestling. I don't think people realise how big it is. This UWN are going to be running like 72 shows a year.
Jesus Christ.
They've got a TV channel. They're going to be on TV. They've got a massive backstage kind of staff that are running things. The road managers, there's also backstage managers, there's agents.
You seen their training facility in Dubai? That's
crazy.
Ridiculous.
Crazy. And I'm very honoured. I'm very, very honoured that it was all obviously Frank Cullen.
Yeah.
He's been watching. I've known Frank for a long, long time. I mean, a long, long time, probably since I started. And Frank's a very smart man. And he's been watching BCW from afar, and he watches every show that goes online. And his words to me were that, because I asked him why BCW, and he said that it's purely because of my passion for this business. He said that he can see that I've got such a passion, such a drive for the wrestling business, and the product that I've got is outstanding. So he's a big fan of the BCW product, and I think he's frustrated why it's kind of overseen, it's overlooked.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people talk about BCW. I mean, if you see some of the shows and the production values and the matches, it's quite surprising how swept under the carpet it is.
Yeah.
According to with other promotions. So I think he is frustrated with that as well, and thinks that BCW deserves more than what it gets. So he came up with this solution, and it took me days to let that sink in.
Yeah.
And I kept messaging him. I kept thanking him for what he's trying to do for me, and I don't think I'll ever be thank him enough for what he's done.
Yeah.
But the future, we don't know. I mean, it's still early days, very, very early days. I think they've got their first show in May, to be honest, over there.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of ironing out what's going to be happening, but it could be huge. It could be absolutely huge. It could be. We spoke about getting some of my guys out there.
Yeah.
Some of the guys here. A possible inter-promotional kind of like event.
Yeah.
Kind of invasion angle. There's so many possibilities. Do you know what I mean? There's so many talent as well. So you could be seeing some of the guys you could be seeing here, the guys that you've never ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, really good talent as well. So it could be good. I mean, it could be a case of the BCW title getting defended in Dubai.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's amazing. And then, as I say, Frank has said to me that MD that comes from obviously BCW, everything goes through me.
Yeah.
So if they want booked from Scotland, it goes through me, and I put it to Frank. And everybody that gets booked from that's either performed for BCW or as part of the BCW roster, on TV will be announced as from BCW Scotland.
Oh, brilliant!
So it's good. It's amazing for us. It's even talking about it just now. I'm kind of pinching myself because it's so big. It could be so big. It could be huge. It could be Dubai is huge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's Canada as well. It's a massive thing. I'm hoping to get out there once the pandemic kind of allows us. But I'll get out and see our training facility, and I'll get a chat to the rest of the roster, and we'll hopefully get a kind of route forward to people going and what's happening. But the main thing is that it's out there, the fact that we're joined forces, which is
it's exciting.
It's exciting for everybody. I mean, it's exciting for everybody involved. So it's something for not only me, but the workers to look forward to as well. So it's good.
No, definitely, and it is something completely different, and it gives people that direct pathway, I guess, to travel to like Dubai and Canada. So no, it's great to see, and hopefully like it does pay off for both ends as well, like for their guys coming here and getting more exposure, and vice versa. And I know anybody that I've spoken to that are wrestling in like the Middle East, the money out there is just ridiculous. Like the production values crazy, and so hopefully like it's new and it's different. And that's always something hard to do, especially in British wrestling when there's so many companies.
I just hope that I can give my guys back. I hope I can get the guys out there and almost give back what they've given me. Do you know what I mean? They've given me years worth of just their hard work, and do you know what I mean? So it'd be good to be able to reward them with something like that. Do you know what I mean? And an opportunity
Definitely.
Like that. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Happy days, my friends.
Nah, excited to see it, and hopefully, like shows across the country can start coming back, and then next year when you come back with a bang, I'm excited to see what you got in store and what you've got in store for Pro 2 as well.
Well, that's don't keep trying to ask me questions about Pro 2. Journalist, man. Honestly, that's what Clash has. The wrestling journalist for hell. No, but listen, I appreciate everything, man. I appreciate it. I hope it's good.
It's been a pleasure having you on.
Hope you keep safe, man, and your family and stuff, and I wish you all the best, man.
No, thank you. Where, if obviously some people may be listening on Facebook, but if they're listening on my social media channels, where can they find yourself and BCW on social media?
Just type in British Championship Wrestling to Facebook. The website is under construction just now.
Yeah.
But the website for that is www.bcw/wrestling.com. And the Twitter handle is BCW Official. Check us out there, and we'll keep you updated with everything that we do.
Yeah, brilliant. No, well, again, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody, thank you for listening. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Friday morning.